Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm bringing you a review for the new Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Megatron toy to coincide with the new Netflix series. This box set is actually a 3-pack. It does come with Megatron himself, and though unnamed on the front, you have two Battle Masters. You have Pinpointer, who some of you may know as the Target Master partner of Crosshairs, so we finally get a partner for him. Don't have to make do with head cannoning old Trenchfoot as Pinpointer. And then you get a re-echo of Iser as, well, Iser. The big difference here is that this Iser is much more color accurate to the original toy that came with the Action Master Rad, which gives me some small fleeting hope that we might actually get a Rad toy sometime during this trilogy. You know, the Action Master fully transforming character, I'll take either, you know. Potential Build-A-Figure, Hasbro, if you're listening, Action Master Build-A-Figures, just throwing that out there. Anyway, this Megatron is a direct redeco of the original Siege toy. However, this one uses a lot more paint. Instead of just like a flat gray plastic, he's done up in all this metallic silvery color with different bits of like shading and dinging to show, you know, the battle-hardened condition he's in. Got these little kind of scratch or cut marks across his chest. And overall just kind of comes off as being a premium version of the first Siege figure, which I have some mixed feelings about. It's like, why didn't we just get this version in the first place? But, you know, I guess maybe they just didn't have that Netflix money coming in when they did, you know, their initial batch of Siege toys. Now they do, so they can go nuts on paint a little bit. That's what I'm assuming anyway. So before proceeding, give my usual spiel. If you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Megatron's packaging, look at all the different sides of it. Then we're going to open it up, see the instructions. Then we'll see our three figures themselves and their weapon, vehicle, robot modes, do comparisons, group shots, all that fun stuff. And then at the end, I'll give my final thoughts. So the packaging, I already mentioned the Hot Link review, I think is just very cool. Very kind of artsy, just got this like black and white, very high contrast imagery. Digging it. Got this nice picture of Megatron on the front, which looks familiar. I feel like they've used that artwork somewhere before. I could be wrong though. He does have those luscious lips that his CGI model uses in the new show, which I don't understand why they did that. Perhaps they were taking a cue from IDW Overlord on that or something, which is a weird mashup. I don't know. On the back, you get Megatron himself utilizing the exact same pose that the original figure used, just different colors, so that's a little lazy, guys. You got Pinpointer himself, Iser, and it's interesting, they call them Captive Pinpointer and Captive Iser, I guess to explain why they come with Megatron instead of an Autobot. I don't know if that's going to have any show significance or not. That's going to like be a plot point at some point, but we'll see. I'm just happy we're getting Pinpointer, and you know the toy accurate Iser is pretty cool too. Each one of these guys takes 5 steps to transform. Megatron takes 17. You got what I believe is the Kaon symbol. Assume Kaon, Megatron. And yeah. And of course here you got that really cool comic style artwork that I really dig. Right, here's the instruction booklet. And just like Hot Links, you have your Voyager up top, 2 Battle Masters on the bottom. Again, Iser and Pinpointer have that captive little prefix there. Front page just shows their transformations, how that works. Got a shot of Megatron wielding both of them. And then you get Megatron's transformation to his tank mode. And a little how-to on how to build his gigantic humongo cannon there. And something I failed to mention on Hot Link's review, but they've gotten rid of the whole kind of emphasis on the combat system. You know, they don't have names and stats for the weapons anymore. Just a very quick just reuse of like their combination instructions. That's pretty much it. So they seem to really be shying away from that. Just kind of focusing on the figures themselves now. Now here's our look at old Pinpointer. And you can see he is a direct redeco of Fire Drive. This time just done in a primary red and black color scheme. Though his blast effects seem to carry over the same pinkish red that Fire Drive had. I'm not really sure why, but eh. And He's pretty close to being a decent reflection of the original Pinpointer toy, at least from robot mode, except that OG Pinpointer did have red arms instead of black. Now I get why they're black. It's because of the way this toy is molded. And, you know, all of the releases of the Fire Drive mold have followed the same kind of layout. You know, one color for the torso, another color for the arms and legs, and all that. So I'm not surprised, but, you know, you could have gone the extra mile and just painted the arms red. I know that's probably asking for too much, but they could have. Would have made me happy. Would have made other people happy, but they didn't. So, you know, because of that, he actually comes off just looking a lot more like old Trenchfoot than who he's supposed to be. Speaking of Trenchfoot, here he is. So you can see how these two stack up. And again, you know, just very similar color layouts. Trenchfoot actually ends up having quite a bit more paint work. So, you know, he's a little bit more detailed. But you can see due to the similarities between these two why a lot of people were prepared to just headcanon Trenchfoot as, you know, their own Pinpointer. And why there is, you know, kind of a question of was he even supposed to be that character or not, since Hasbro never really said either way. But now, luckily, we don't have to wonder. We got a Trenchfoot, we got a Pinpointer, so everyone gets their own target master. Good times. And here's a quick look at all the mold mates. We have first version of this mold, Fire Drive, which is a renamed version of Hot Rod's target master. Then you have Fracas, who's supposed to be Scourge's target master, and he's just a direct redeco. You got Singe over here, who does swap out the Fire Blast effects for the same ones that came with Aimless. And then you just go back to the original effects for old Pinpointer. And I will say, I guess they are a different shade of pink than Fire Drive, so they're not exactly the same once I see them together like that. So, I guess that's good. They're marginally different. Alright, here's our Iser 2.0. And like I said before, he's the same character, just done up in colors much more reminiscent of the original Iser toy. And aside from the coloration, there's not really anything new to see here. Obviously a whole lot of orange. Got silver and blue paint on his head there. Got a translucent orange sword with some silver paint, and then he's got the same little slashing or dashing effect that the regular version has, just pink now. And I noticed that on my copy, it's a little bent. I don't know why, it just kind of came out of the package like that, so that may be a common issue with this, seeing as they're all going to be packaged pretty much the same way. But, you know, got him. It's kind of on there like so. Forgive the background noise, it's my noisy dog that felt she had to be here with me today. Now for comparison, we have Siege Iser in his mostly black and gray and blue color scheme. And we also have his slight repaint Dazzle Strike with a flame effect instead of more air-like slash. So, yeah. Not a whole lot of things to say about this, just a few different colorations of the same toy. I mean, it's a cool toy. You know, the Iser mold is one of my favorite Battle Masters from Siege. So, you know, no complaints there. Part of me wishes we could have just gotten the orange version right off the get-go. I know a lot of people complained about that, you know, wondering why they didn't just make him look more like his G1 self, but I guess at the time they decided it didn't really fit the Siege aesthetic, having a bright orange character, though they really haven't been consistent on that idea because definitely have some brightly colored characters in Siege. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Not sure why they did what they did. And truth be told, I like the Siege Iser's colors, just I prefer them just for what they are, as far as just from an aesthetic point of view. It looks cooler, it looks more menacing. But I also do appreciate being able to have a more, you know, G1 toy accurate version of the character, which, you know, as I said before, maybe, hopefully, is a precursor to a RAD release at some point. I would definitely love to see the Action Masters make a return in a more sale-friendly form, whether that's making them full Transformers or doing something else. But it would be cool to see those characters come back. We did get Croc already, so there's that. And here's a group shot of our two unfortunate imprisoned battle masters. And as far as plastic color, they don't seem to have anything in common, which is good. It's nice to get that kind of color variety within a multi-pack like this. The only exception being obviously their fire blast effects do seem to be done up in the same color. So that's interesting. I don't know if that means the fire blast effects were somehow gang molded in some way. I know normally they wouldn't be, right? Because these are two different molds, but who knows? Who knows how they do the magic that they do. All right, here's the big bad himself, Megatron, in his tank mode. And you can see he's just very, very dark compared to his predecessors. Almost, you know, gunmetal color on his grays. And then he has this really cool, like, kind of dark silver washout on the black parts. He looks very realistic. He looks like he's a machine made of metal, and I love it. His turret turns just fine. No tolerance issues there or anything. It's got a lot of paint washout. It's got some on the tip of this cannon here. He has some on his robot cannon that you can't really see it yet because it's pointing down, but it's there. Feet are done up in this nice silver color. The reds are, I think, a little darker. A little less saturated than the regular version, but I'll double check that. And yeah, I mean, overall, this just looks very good. Kind of sells the tank mode a little better. Still got the little face peeking out on the bottom. Nothing you can do about that. This copy, this foot really doesn't want to lock into place. Luckily, it's not very loose. It's not going to like flop down or anything, but you can move it in this mode. It just doesn't seem to want to lock in, unlike this one. And I think I have that issue in some of my other copies too. And I know, which one is it? The regular Megatron? I think like these are really loose on him. So overall though, I'm really sold on this. Oh look, they got the yellow right here. That looks really good. I think it's just a very nice portrayal of the character and just kind of a grittier, more almost like Sin City-esque level of dark, if you know what I mean. Which I think is a good vibe for what they're trying to go for with the show, right? It's supposed to be, it's war, right? War is hell. It's supposed to be pretty bleak and bad, so I think they're kind of nailing it here with this look. All right, here's the full lineup of Siege Megatrons, because I am an absolute sucker, consumerist swine, and I have bought all of them. So, you know, shame on me. But, you know, it's good to be able to look at these and just kind of compare all of them, see which one you like the most. So naturally we have the original Siege right here. It's our new guy. This is the animation colors version for the 35th anniversary. And then we have the Combat Hero Megatron, Generation Selects one. So you have a lot to choose from. Now, is it annoying that this mold has been done 4 times already in the span of one toy line? Absolutely. We don't need that many Megatrons. I get he's a flagship character, but there is such a thing as character fatigue. So, ugh. Now what really bothers me is, you know, there was a lot of debate over out of, you know, the original and the cartoon one, which is the one to get, right? Some people like the kind of more realistic tones of the original. Some people wanted their very, you know, animation accurate looking Megatron. Obviously that comes down to personal taste. But now with this one coming out, I'm kind of annoyed, right? Because this one does the realistic look so much better, at least so far in tank mode, than this guy. It seems like this is the the version we should have gotten instead of kind of like a halfway between realistic and cartoon. Especially since they were just going to make a cartoon one anyway. Might as well have gone like 100% cartoon, 100% realism, not some weird in between. But that's what happened. Kind of annoyed. So, you know, it's funny because in my last review for the Hot Link set, I called that box set like the box set of look how many times we can make you buy Read Echoes. This box set, I think it's look at the things we should have made in the first place but didn't, but now here you go, buy them again. Because honestly, right, you got your Toy Accurate Lionizer, you got Pinpointer, who I imagine people would have preferred getting in that Autobot Alpha Counter-Strike box set instead of a made-up character like Trenchfoot. And now we have a Megatron who just has this really nice premium paint job. So this box set is great, but its existence also really annoys me because we've received, you know, arguably inferior versions already. But You know, a toy company is going to toy company. This is nothing new. Very much reminds me, the whole Netflix line actually reminds me of the premium series that they did for the first movie, right? Where they released all those 2007 movie toys, and they, you know, pretty lacking in the paint department for a while, especially like their Megatron. And then they did like the exclusives. Was it Best Buy exclusives? Where they got those like nice premium paint finish, and it's like, but why? Why did you make me buy this crappy one already? But oh well. I'm not going to fault this box set on the sins of its predecessors, but the frustration is there. Now with my griping out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the robot mode. Right now we got Megatron in its robot mode, and I mean, he just looks glorious. So much sheen to him. I mean, this has got me pretty hyped for the show. This is the silver paint app I was talking about on this Fusion cannon. You can see it now. Kind of gives it like a singed look, I suppose. There's those little scratches on his chest again, which I think just do a lot better than most of the battle damage that they use in Siege. He does have a little bit of the like spray painted battle damage stuff right here on the pelvic area, and then that's it. All the other paint apps are just kind of stylizing. Yeah, and just overall, he looks and feels really good. And also get a little bit of kind of G1 toy vibes from him just because of how silver he is, which is always a nice touch. You know, my stance has usually been aesthetically a mix of, you know, toy and tune accuracy to the level of whatever works best, right? Use the elements that work best for each. And I think this guy pretty much nails that. All of his tolerances, everything, are spot on. No loose floppy wrists, unlike my regular version. They hold in place very well. No floppy ankles like my cartoon version. And everything just holds together very well. So this is probably the best out of 3 when it comes to the G1 uses of this mold. All right, here's the side-by-side of their bot modes. And this will really help you decide for yourself which one is best for you. Now, the Combat Hero one, I just really have him here so you can see the comparison. I don't really rate him against the others. He kind of does his own thing. Like, you either want an obscure G2 Megatron or you don't. You're not going to be buying him as, you know, your replacement G1 Megatron. So he just does his own thing. He's awesome. I leave him be. Doesn't hurt that he's got some of the best QC out of the 4 of these. So that really leaves these 3 to look at, and you know, which one you're gonna go with. And kind of already said what I think. You know, if you're looking for the best Siege Megatron, I think this is gonna be your guy. He just looks so good while still matching the Siege aesthetic. Still got the battle damage and all that, but he just comes off as looking like a toy that there was more effort put into it, like there's more value to it. One thing I didn't like about the original is how very flat gray his plastic was. It made him look like a much cheaper toy. And considering the relatively simple engineering of this Megatron compared to some of the other Voyagers they've put out, I always felt like he really wasn't on the same level as the other Siege Voyagers. And now with this guy, I can buy into it a little better. The Toon one, that's just going to be if you want, you know, your Toon accurate Megatron. I wouldn't recommend him for your Siege shelf if you can help it, because he just really clashes with the others, same as the animation Optimus. But if you're, you know, in the market for a Toon Megatron, you know, he's the best you're gonna get since they can't make gun guys anymore. So, you know, that's kind of my 2 cents on the comparison. You know, I still don't understand why they used the minor Megatron helmet for this guy. I never made a minor Megatron. But I don't want to ponder that too much out loud, because then Hasbro's gonna be like, boys, let's make a 5th one. Let's use this mold again. And no, I'm good. I'm good. We're already getting a retool of it in the next toy line, so let's not do that. Here's a quick shot of Megatron's Redonkulous cannon for anyone that wanted to see that. Still looks as silly and as unwieldy as it ever did, but there you go. Let's go ahead and have Megatron wield his 2 captive Battle Masters, just so we can kind of meet the intent of the box set. So we got Pinpointer in his weapon mode. Standard fire drive based configuration. Go ahead and place that in here. We've got that. And we have Iser in his weapon mode. And something I didn't notice until I transformed him, his handle here is made of translucent orange, like the blade. Now it's a little worrisome because that is a part you're going to be putting stress on as you plug it in and out of fists and everything. Luckily, it's not a full, like a full 5 millimeter circle. It's, you know, kind of cut off on the sides, which is actually good because that means less friction holding it in. There's going to be less force and resistance to plugging and unplugging it. So overall, probably safe. Just, you know, don't go cramming it in there. So there we go. This is Megatron being the conqueror that he is and just kind of wielding two Autobot Battle Masters against their will. Actually, really reminds me of Armada Megatron with the Star Saber team. But this just doesn't feel right, does it? We finally have Pinpointer. Can't have Megatron wielding him, can we? We need to go ahead and bring about the moment that, honestly, everyone's been waiting for. So here we go. Boom! Crosshairs and Pinpointer, reunited at last. I imagine just this bit right here is going to be enough to push some people over the edge for the purchase. For this whole box set, you know, a lot of completionists out there really want to be able to get that Pinpointer for their Crosshairs figure. And they look really great together. The colors match up quite well. I think his red is slightly brighter, but not to the point where it's very noticeable. Blacks are almost identical. And, you know, they just really look great together. And it is good seeing, you know, one of the Autobot Target Master teams finally completed. So far, Crosshair is the only one we've received. I don't know why the Decepticons kind of have won out on that end. We already got the Decepticon Target Masters, but maybe during late Earthrise or whatever Chapter 3 is, we'll get the rest of them, because I think it needs to be done right. You can't just make one of the Target Masters. But yeah, this makes me happy, and I am glad that they finally addressed this and made a Pinpointer instead of having everyone wondering about like the whole Trenchfoot thing and is he, isn't he? Now we know. All right, and I think that's going to complete our look on this 3-pack. My final thoughts or recommendations on this are going to be kind of a grab bag, like most of these Netflix toys will be. I think these are great, right? For what they are, the Megatron is beautiful. Pinpointer is great to get. Iser is really cool in his G1 colors. So, you know, do I think this is good? Absolutely. And it's very much worth the price because you're getting about $44 worth of toys for $40. So, you know, decent value. Now, how necessary is this? That's the real question, right? That's going to depend on so many things, right? Now, if you don't already have a Siege Megatron, you somehow managed to miss out, even though they're still clogging shelves in places. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more appealing for you if you never got that and you want to experience it. I think this is the best version of that mold, especially for the purpose of putting it on a shelf with other Siege toys. Obviously, Pinpointer is a great selling point. A lot of people are going to want him to have crosshairs. Iser, you know, people are going to want him in this coloration, though maybe not as strongly. If there were a rad figure for him to go with, I think he'd be much more of a must-have. But so far, they haven't said anything on that. So if you need a Siege Megatron, you know, I would almost say definite buy, except they're doing an Earthrise Megatron that is very similar to this. In fact, it's arguably a retool of this, right? It swaps out some parts here and there, but a lot of it's the same. And the overall look of it is very much the same. So, again, that depends. Do you want one for Siege and one for Earthrise? You know, do you want like a Cybertron mode and an Earth mode version? Despite the fact that they're very similar in appearance. I mean, they both turn into tanks, just one's a little more alien looking than the other. Yeah, that's going to play into it. If you only want like one Megatron, one quintessential Megatron, then it's a little iffier because which version are you going to prefer? Do you prefer the Earth mode one, which might work better in a G1 type collection? it's really hard to say. I will say that in most cases, this is kind of a tough sell, despite the selling points, despite the quality of it. Because again, we're 4 Siege Megatrons in now. Most people already have this, and it's very hard to justify spending $40, even if you're just doing it for like Pinpointer to get all the other stuff. Right now, that was like a big issue with some of those multi-packs, the Skywarp and the Sideswipe and Slam Dance one, is a lot of people bought them and then just tried to like sell off the figures they didn't want, because they really only want like 1 or 2 things from those packs. And I think this is going to be a similar case here, where you're going to see a lot of listings go up on eBay, either for maybe this Megatron or people dumping off the old Siege version. So yeah, it's iffy. My rating of this as a set is fantastic. It's very, very well done. But based on your purchasing power, your priorities, all that, may or may not be for you. And I think that's really all I have to say about that. So, take everything I said with a grain of salt, because that is purely my opinion. What really matters with these reviews is your takeaway, right? Now that you've watched this, what do you think? Is this going to be a must-have for you? Are you skipping on them? Are you going to reluctantly buy them like I kind of did? Because, I'm a man of the people and I must do my public service and review these for you. Some might call me a hero for my valiant, selfless acts, but please, I don't like titles. All right, all kidding aside though, I really hope you enjoyed this look at Megatron. If you did enjoy it, make sure to toss it a like, let YouTube know that you're enjoying this content, you want to see more. If you do want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for round 4 of looking at a Siege Megatron. And with all that said, I will see you next time.